Hello, everyone. Poverty is a very real challenge in many parts of the world. Millions of people live with very low wages, limited chances to progress, and a constant struggle to meet basic needs. Because money seems to be at the root of so many difficulties, it's natural to ask, why don't governments simply print more money? If more money existed, wouldn't everyone instantly become rich and happy? Although this sounds like an easy fix, the reality is far more complicated. In this lesson, we'll explore why governments cannot simply print their way out of poverty. The basics. What happens when new money is printed? The first step is to understand what takes place when large amounts of money are created. If you were to ask a teacher, parent, or economist, you would likely hear one immediate answer. It leads to inflation. But what exactly does inflation mean? Inflation occurs when the prices of goods and services rise because there's more money in circulation but not more things available to purchase. Our economies operate according to the principle of supply and demand. When supply is high and demand is low, prices tend to drop. When supply is limited but demand is high, prices rise. Inflation is essentially the result of this imbalance, and when it reaches extreme levels, it is called hyperinflation. A simple example: bread and inflation. Let's make this clearer using bread as an example. Imagine a single loaf of bread costs $5. There are 5 loaves available and 5 people, Bob, John, Alex, Jack, and Tony, each holding $5. This means each person can buy exactly 1 loaf. Now picture the government suddenly printing more money and handing out another $5 to each person. Everyone now has $10, but the bakery still only has 5 loaves. With more money in their pockets, everyone tries to buy 2 loaves. Since supply has not increased, the bakery realizes demand has gone up and raises the price from $5 to $10 per loaf. In the end, everyone still gets just 1 loaf, but they now pay double the price. No one is richer because the number of loaves hasn't changed. Only the money supply has. Unless the bakery produces 10 loaves, prices will keep adjusting upwards. Even the bakery doesn't truly benefit. While at first it earns more, other bakeries now also have extra cash and want to buy more wheat. Since farmland is limited and wheat production cannot instantly expand, competition for wheat drives its price higher. Bakeries then must raise bread prices again to cover costs. This cycle repeats, making the problem worse. Why printing money doesn't solve problems from this example. We can see that creating more money without creating more goods or services doesn't make society wealthier. It simply makes products more expensive, reducing the real value of money. Over time, inflation destroys purchasing power and destabilizes economies. And while this may sound like a mistake no country would dare to make, history shows otherwise. Several nations have attempted to print their way out of crisis, and the results were disastrous. Historical examples of hyperinflation. Weimar Republic. Germany, 1920s. After losing World War I, Germany's monarchy collapsed, and the Weimar Republic was born. The nation was devastated. Infrastructure destroyed, widespread unemployment, and enormous reparations to pay under the Treaty of Versailles. In desperation, the government began printing money to cover expenses. The results were catastrophic. By late 1923, prices were doubling within hours. Families carried wheelbarrows full of banknotes just to buy bread. In January 1923, a loaf cost 250 marks. By November, it cost 200 billion marks. Savings were wiped out overnight. Society was thrown into chaos. And the resulting instability paved the way for radical political movements that reshaped world history. Zimbabwe, 2007-2008. Zimbabwe, once known as Rhodesia, transitioned from apartheid rule in the 1980s under President Robert Mugabe. Land reforms redistributed farms from white landowners to black citizens. However, many of the new farmers lacked experience and resources, causing agricultural output to plummet. This, combined with corruption, poor management, and international sanctions, crippled the economy. To deal with the crisis, the government printed enormous amounts of money. Hyperinflation followed, reaching an almost unimaginable 89.7 sextillion% annually in 2008. That's 89.7 followed by 20 zeros. The Zimbabwean dollar became worthless, with people needing stacks of cash just to buy eggs. Prices could double within a single day, or even hours. Venezuela, 2016. Venezuela holds the largest oil reserves in the world. When oil prices were high, the country earned massive profits. Instead of diversifying the economy, however, the government heavily subsidized goods, controlled industries, and discouraged private businesses. When oil prices collapsed after 2008, Venezuela's income dropped sharply. Yet subsidies continued, financed by excessive money printing. Corruption and mismanagement worsened the situation. Hyperinflation soon spiraled out of control, rendering the currency nearly worthless. Banknotes were often discarded in the streets, unable to buy even the most basic items. Why not print money to pay foreign debt? Some might argue, if printing money for citizens is bad, why not just print it to pay off foreign debt? Unfortunately, this doesn't work either. When countries inflate their currency, the rest of the world notices through economic reports, currency exchange rates, and inflation data. Foreign lenders refuse to accept devalued money because it reduces the real value of repayments. Such actions damage international trust, devalue the currency further, and can isolate the country from global markets. The real solution: creating value instead of printing money. Governments should focus on strengthening their economies. Real wealth comes from creating goods and services, not paper money. This means investing in education to build skilled workers, improving infrastructure so industries can grow, encouraging technology and innovation, supporting businesses to expand and hire more people, managing natural resources and finances responsibly. When production rises alongside demand, prices stabilize, jobs grow, and societies prosper. This model has been successfully applied in countries like Japan and South Korea, which invested in people and industries rather than relying on shortcuts. Final thoughts. The lesson from history is clear. Printing money may seem like a quick solution to poverty, but it always backfires. Inflation erodes wealth, destroys savings, and destabilizes nations. What people truly want isn't more cash. They want affordable access to food, housing, and opportunities. Money only has value if it can buy real goods. So, instead of looking for easy answers like money printing, governments must focus on sustainable growth. By creating value, jobs, and opportunities, countries can achieve real prosperity without falling into the trap of hyperinflation. If you'd like to learn more about inflation and economics, stick around. There's much more to explore. And if you want more videos explaining topics like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for joining!